Plaintiff William Richard is suing his son's former friend, 20-year-old home health aide Crystal Davis, for vandalizing his home. William says Crystal and her friends threw 2 open cans of paint through his front window.
Yeah, this is case number 193 on the calendar in the matter of Richard versus Davis. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Is this your mother?
Yes.
Mr. Richard, it is your claim that the defendant, along with 2 others, vandalized your home a little over a year ago.
Yes.
Is that right? Now, Ms. Davis says that while she was with these 2 other people who vandalized your home, she really didn't do anything herself. She was just in the car with them.
Yes.
Okay. Let me see if I understand the relationship between the 2 of you. Your mother was dating his son.
No, she wasn't dating his son.
She was what with his son?
He worked on her cars and he helped fix things around her house.
You mean there was no relationship other than that of a handyman with your mother?
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right, sir?
No, sir.
It is your claim that your son and this lady had a relationship.
My son lived with her about 2 years.
In her house?
In her house.
And it is your claim that the relationship was more than that of just a handyman?
Yes.
And at some point, you got annoyed with his son?
Yes.
Why, Miss Davis?
I'd
like you to speak up so I can hear you. I'm getting older.
He threatened my mom's life. He put his...
Why would he do that?
He was crazy. He was jealous. I don't know.
He was jealous? Well, why would a handyman be jealous of your mother?
He liked her and she didn't want nothing to do with him.
Did he live in your house?
For a couple months.
So the answer is he lived in your house?
Yes.
And he liked your mother?
Yes.
And she didn't like him?
No.
Tell me about the vandalism to your house, Mr. Richard.
They threw 2 buckets of paint through the window, and it went all over the furniture and carpet and everything.
Do you have pictures of the house?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see them, please? Had your son moved home when this happened?
No, he was living with me because we was remodeling the place.
What I'm asking you, Mr. Richard, is, had your son left Miss Davis's home at that point?
Yes.
Now, tell me what happened on June 30th, Miss Davis. And I want you to keep your voice up and keep your eyes over here.
He had called my mom several times that day, threatening her life. And
You mean his son?
Yes. And he had called my grandparents, threatening them. He threatened me and my brother's life. I told a couple of my friends what he had been saying, and...
You told who?
2 of my friends.
Names?
Chuck and...
Chuck what? Who else did you tell?
Well, his friend. I don't know his name.
You told them what?
What his son had been doing.
Okay. And then what happened?
They said they knew how to get back at him. They got 2 cans of paint, and we drove in his car.
In whose car?
Chuck's.
And where did you go?
To his son's house.
Well, you didn't know Chuck's friend, is that right?
No, I'd only met him a couple times.
And Chuck? Does Chuck know his son?
Yeah, he's met him.
Where?
At my mom's house.
But you knew where he lived.
Yes.
They didn't know where he lived. So you had to give them directions.
Yes.
Right. So you gave them directions on how to get there. And what happened when they got there?
They pulled up in front of his house and got out, threw the paint through the windows, got back in the car and left.
Okay. On June 30th, my friends took it upon themselves to vandalize Tony Richards' house. That's what you wrote here, right? As is stated in the police report, I didn't throw the paint, so no charges were filed. Did you tell the police that you went to Chuck's friend's house when they gathered the paint together?
No.
No. Did you tell the police that you gave them directions on how to get to Mr. Richards' house?
No.
No. How come you told me? Because I asked you?
Yes.
And because you knew that you couldn't lie to me. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What makes you think that you are not responsible for the damage to Mr. Richards' house?
Because I didn't do it.
Because what?
I didn't actually throw the paint.
Is there something wrong with you?
No.
You are responsible. You instigated it. You were involved in gathering the materials for the vandalism. You were responsible for directing these other two people, if they were in fact the ones that threw the paint, directing them how to get to Mr. Richards' home, something that they did not know. You are responsible. You understand?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your son is in all probability a nut. That doesn't mean that she wasn't a lonely lady, but your son is a nut.
And later today,
How long have you been married, sir?
43 years, August 31st.
And without asking you any more, you've had enough.
That's right.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. William Richards says his son's former friend vandalized his home with paint. Crystal Davis says she didn't act alone.
Now, you decided not to pursue this matter because your son asked you not to. Is that right?
My son did it on his own. I didn't know nothing about it.
Did what on his own?
He didn't press charges on it because he made a deal with her mother
Drop the charges.
that she would not file charges against him if he wouldn't file charges against them. The next day, she filed charges against my son.
Is your son in jail now?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he crazy?
No, ma'am.
How many times has your son been arrested?
I say 3 or 4 times.
That is not true.
Step up. Ms. Davis, clearly you exercised poor judgment in having this person move into your house. I'm surmising that there was more to this relationship than either you're telling me or that your daughter's telling me.
Oh, there's more.
There's more. Okay. Do you know how many times Mr. Richards' son was arrested?
36 times on separate accounts.
Can I see, please?
Yes.
How many of those involved you?
He was never arrested on my account, unfortunately.
Okay, but he was arrested 36 times on other charges.
On other charges, such as armed robbery, all those there listed.
Check if the defendant's criminal history reveals that he has been arrested 36 times on such violent charges as armed robbery, breaking and entering, prowling, burglary, DUI, carrying a concealed weapon, a machete, drug possession, felony battery.
I don't know nothing about that.
Oh, well, you got to listen. You got to pay more attention to what's happening in your own family, Mr. Richard. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That, madam, does not excuse trashing his house. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see the bill for cleanup of this house, please?
Your Honor.
What?
May I get to say something
Sure.
else? All these papers here are restraining orders that I filed.
I think he's a bad person. Miss Davis, that doesn't give your daughter license to trash Mr. Richards' house. Do you understand that?
I understand that.
Right, it doesn't give her license to take the law into her own hands and throw paint through a window at his house.
I understand that, Your Honor.
Good, that's all.
It's not all. What this man has put us through and
Which
my
man?
family, his son.
He is not responsible for his 43-year-old son. Are you responsible for what your daughter did?
In a way, yes, I guess I am.
Good, then you can pay the damages. His son put you through a lot. What possible motive would you have to bring a nut into your house?
He was referred to me as a mechanic and a handyman.
So you bring a 40-some-odd-year-old man into your house. You have no idea about his background. It turns out he's been arrested 36 times. That doesn't make you a genius.
Well,
In any event, his son may have caused you all kinds of aggravation, but that doesn't give your daughter license to trash Mr. Richards' house. And if you don't see it, then I understand why you brought this 40-year-old felon into your house.
Your Honor,
What?
my son met her at a bar.
Listen to me. Your son is where he belongs. He is in jail. I hope...
But this is what brought everything up
Listen to me.
to this deal.
Listen to me.
So,
Your son is in all probability a nut. That doesn't mean that she wasn't a lonely lady, but your son is a nut. That doesn't excuse what she did, and for that you're going to get paid. And since her mother says, well, I'm partially responsible for what she did, she can help.
Well, I certainly wish the law had helped us in all this whole time.
Madam, if you exercised better judgment, you wouldn't be standing here today. That doesn't excuse what Mr. Richards' son did to you and your family. It doesn't excuse the fact that the law may have been slow in moving to get him out of your life, but it does not excuse your daughter's criminal behavior.
So what about responsibility of the two gentlemen who did do actually throwing of the paint?
Listen, you can, if you like, sue them and say, my daughter didn't act alone. There were three of you. It's not up to him to go find these two other people. She doesn't even know the name of one of them, according to her, which I don't believe. How is he supposed to find out where they are? She knows where they are. She enlisted their assistance. It's her responsibility. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The system is certainly for the criminal, not for the innocent victims.
She's playing the victim because every time something comes up, she calls the police, has them arrested for stalking.
She would never got involved with something like that if it hadn't have been that this man had been harassing me.
He met her in a bar. 15 minutes later, they had her out on the hood of a car.
His son has stalked my mom.
I don't know that. That was between my son and her mother.
I didn't actually do it, and anything he did get, he deserves.
I would have pressed charges against her for criminal.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Dallahan versus Tinley, step forward.
Plaintiff Ross Dallahan is suing his daughter, day spa owner Karen Tinley, for the return of $500 he paid for a family picture. Karen says her father is bitter because her mother left him.
Mr. Dallahan, Miss Tinley is your daughter.
Yes, it is.
And you are suing your daughter for $500 because you say you gave her $500 and there were certain stipulations. There was a contract. The contract was she was to do certain things. She was to prepare a photo album. She was supposed to bring grandchildren to come to visit you and a couple of other things, which she didn't do. And therefore, since she didn't fulfill her portion of the contract, you want your money back.
That's right.
Your daughter says that this money was given without stipulation and that you're just angry because your wife doesn't want to come back to you. Your wife left you, sir?
Yes, she does.
And this is your mother, I assume?
Correct.
And she's happy being without you and she doesn't want any part of you and therefore you're angry, so you want this money back.
That's correct.
How long have you been married, sir?
43 years, August 31st.
And without asking you any more, you've had enough.
That's right.
You fulfilled your sentence.
Thank you.
Mr. Dallahan, got it?
No, I don't.
So tell me about this $500 that you gave your daughter.
On April 14th of this year, my wife decided that she would begin talking to me after all efforts of reconciliation, trying to go to marriage counseling would not work. She said that she would start talking to me again, and she agreed that she would start dating me again, and as a result, I gave her $1,400 with no stipulation.
Okay.
That's my wife.
Okay.
The same day, I gave my daughter Karen $500 with stipulation.
And what did you say to her when you gave her the $500, and what did she say to you?
First of all, I thanked her for taking good care of my wife.
Okay.
And I said, I want you to have this money, but there are three things that I want from this. One is a family album to show that you're going to be part of my family again and let me be a father to the family, which you've never been able to do. The other stipulation was that she allowed me as a father to prepare a meal for her, her husband, and two daughters to come into my home so I could tell them as a father what I would like to see as a family reconciling.
Okay.
And the third one was take the money that I give you that is left over from the album. I want you to divide between the four of you.
Which four?
Her husband and her two daughters.
So?
So the first of the next month, I talked to my wife on the phone again, and I asked her about if she had the album made for me, and she said no, because she's been hauling the girls around too much.
Go ahead.
Anyway, I said, well, can I come by the house and pick up the album? My wife said, I don't think that's a good idea.
She said that there was no album. How could you pick it up if there was no album?
That's right. She
Yeah.
never did that.
Okay.
So then my wife decided to break off all communication with me, and as a result, because I didn't get what I asked for, I called up, and even though she wouldn't answer the phone, I left a message that I wanted the money returned, and she did not return the money.
Okay. Ms. Tinley, I'll hear you.
For one thing, there was never any photo album mentioned at all.
Look at me. What was mentioned? He handed you $500.
Right.
What did he say?
He says, well, here's $500 for taking such good care of your mom. And I says, I don't mind taking care of my mom. You know, she's my mom. I love her. I'd do anything for her. So to me, that was a gift.
Well, what did he say about a photo?
He said, I would like to have a family picture. And I said, I don't have one. He says, well, he says, you've got money. He says, you can have one made. I didn't have a problem with that.
Good.
So...
What else? Did he say anything about bringing your family over to his house?
Not to his house. He says, I have something I want to tell your family. Because up to this point, he has never admitted that he was wrongdoing with my mom or anything. And he admitted that to my mom that day. He says, everything that has happened is my fault. And I was surprised to hear that.
Okay.
But 2 weeks later, I mean, I don't have a family that lives at home. So to get a family picture done in 2 weeks is a little bit impossible for us.
Okay. So what happened? So he called and said, where's the picture?
Conversations, he'd been calling and was not being very nice on the phone. So we quit answering the phone. If his number came up, we didn't answer the phone. 2 weeks later, one of the messages was, if you don't do what I want you to, you know, you just send the money back, baby. That was his words. I remember that.
All right. So what I'm getting, Miss Tinley, is minimally, in his head, he expected a family picture for this $500.
Right.
In his head. You have a picture of you at home?
I do.
You have a picture of your 2 daughters at home?
I do.
So this is what I want you to do. I want you to take the picture of you, the 2 girls, take them over to a drugstore where they have one of those machines where you put the pictures in and it makes a copy?
Right.
You're prepared to do that?
I can do that. I can do that at my home.
Perfect. I want you to do that. You're going to do that within the next 3 days.
I can do that.
And then you're going to send it to your father.
Okay.
That's what you're going to get, sir. Right?
That's right.
Great. Very good. And then she gets to keep the $500. But I know this is going to be difficult for you. But there'll be a time, sir, that I'm telling you, you're a very nice-looking man.
Thank you.
And you seem to have lots of personality. And you've got a little bit of zip in your step. Yet, right?
That's right.
You're going to find somebody who's just going to be crazy about you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Not her.
Not me.
Good luck.
Oh, thank you.
Bye-bye.
These are excused. You may step out.
Diana Galarzo is suing her fiancé's estranged wife, Myrna Cosio, for burning a graduation dress she bought for her daughter.
Order. All rise. Shh. Now, this is case number 200 on the calendar in the matter of Galarzo versus Cosio. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Cosio, you are currently separated from your husband. Is that right? And you've
Yes.
been separated for about 3 years. Yes. Is he here today?
Yes, he is.
Yes, I am.
And according to your answer in this case, you separated from him because he was abusive, had a drinking problem.
Yes.
That's why you separated.
Yes.
You filed for divorce.
He did.
He did in December.
Yes.
And hopefully that divorce will be finalized soon. The 2 of you have 2 children.
Correct.
The plaintiff is his fiancé.
Correct.
And you've been together for about a year.
Yes.
And you're planning to be married as soon as the divorce is finalized.
That's correct.
Do you live together?
Yes, we do.
How long have you been living together?
For about 8 months.
According to your complaint, you gave one of the girls, one of their daughters, who was graduating from elementary school,
Yes, that's correct.
3 outfits. And according to you, Ms. Casio destroyed those outfits. She was annoyed at something. And then later at the graduation made a terrible scene at the graduation,
Yes.
which embarrassed and humiliated you. Ms. Casio says that the outfits weren't destroyed, and she says that you had no business being at the graduation. You should have stayed home. She told her separated husband that he shouldn't bring you, and he defied her and brought you, and that's what caused the incident at the graduation. Is that right?
That's right.
Well, let me straighten you out on that score because that's freshest in my mind. You have no business telling him who he can bring to his daughter's graduation. This child has two parents, and you're no more of a parent than her father is. You don't have any right to tell him who he can bring to the graduation and who he cannot. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
So what do you think gave you the right to tell your husband not to bring her to the graduation?
I didn't tell my husband, I told my daughter.
Ugh, that's even worse. That you told your daughter to tell her father that he should leave her home? Is that what you did?
Exactly, that's what I did, Judge.
You're outrageous. That's an outrageous thing to do on many fronts. First of all, you never use a child to transmit messages from one parent to another. Certainly nothing negative. If you want to say, listen, would you like to come to my house for a graduation party? That's a nice thing. But you never use a child as a telephone to transmit a negative message from one parent to another. That makes you a bad mother. You don't want to be a bad mother, do you?
No.
Well, I'm telling you that was something that only a bad mother would do. So I would rethink that. Having said that, you have no business directing what goes on at your daughter's graduation. It's not your graduation. It's your daughter's graduation. And unless your daughter doesn't want her for some reason, she should be there. She's part of her life. You may not like it. That comes under the category of too bad. You got to get used to it. You got it?
Yes.
You have any questions for me?
Nope.
Good. Now, what kind of a scene did you make at graduation?
I didn't make no scene.
What did she do at graduation?
Your Honor, I have a video cassette of her behavior.
I'd like to see it.
It's right here. And I have never met her, and why she acted this way and insulted me in front of everyone and made a scene, especially Erica started crying. The other daughter with her 3 infant, you know.
Excuse me? What did you call me? What did you call me?
Mom.
That's what I told you. Why?
Stupid.
Because you are.
It's Erica's graduation.
Why? You need God.
Because you're like, what?
You need God in your life.
Really?
Yes.
Mom, stop.
Yes. You do. I have never done anything to you.
Oh, you guys are so stubborn.
Why did you call her? Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Why did you call her a name?
Because I was upset that she was there at my daughter's graduation, Judge.
You owe her an apology. You owe her an apology. Your behavior was outrageous. And I'm going to tell you something. If you don't decide that you're going to change your way of doing business, you're going to lose custody of your daughters. I'm telling you that. I'm an old family court judge. And I'm telling you that if you're going to put your daughters in between their parents, and if you're going to behave in an irrational way, you will eventually lose custody of your girls because they will say, I don't want to live with my mother. She's a nut. Now, what did you do with the outfits that she brought for your daughter? And I better get a truthful answer, otherwise I'm going to have to embarrass you and bring your daughter here. So I want you to tell me what you did with the 3 outfits.
I didn't do anything.
Where are they?
I don't know what she's talking about.
Your Honor, I have a recording of the daughter on June 24th, where she called my cell phone, and pictures of my outfits burned.
I'd like to see them, please. Where were these pictures taken?
Apparently, she burned them, and either she walked into my property or threw them right next to my truck, keyed my car, and I have a police report.
Oh, well, she's crazy. Sir, I think that you ought to go into court and seek custody of your daughters. I wouldn't let my daughter stay with her. There's something definitely wrong with her. Mr. Casio, step up. Step up, sir.
Yes, Your
Listen
Honor.
to me very carefully. How old are your daughters?
12 and 16.
Well, the 16-year-old daughter is going to tell you where she wants to live.
Okay.
And unfortunately for her, she probably will say, I have to stay with my mother because I feel sorry for her. But certainly, if her behavior continues to be so irrational, you might find it in your 12-year-old's best interest to pursue custody of that child, because somebody who behaves in this fashion is not capable of taking care of a child.
I agree.
That's my judgment. Now, 12-year-old probably is not in physical harm in her custody, but she certainly is emotionally in danger, being with somebody who has so much anger. Who are you?
I'm her friend.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, totally.
Is there anything that I said that you find wrong?
Not anything you said, but things she said.
Anything I said?
Not a thing that you said.
That's all. I said anybody who behaves this way for no reason, who can do this, who uses their child as a messenger for hateful messages, is a bad mother. Because a good mother doesn't do that. Go ahead.
Your Honor, I was spending the night before the graduation at Myrna's house to go to the graduation, and I...
Just a minute. You're her friend and you were going to graduation?
Yes.
What gives you the right to go to graduation as a friend?
Because her daughters like me.
What gives you the right as a friend to go to their graduation? Because their mother invited you?
Yes.
That's why she was there. Now let me ask you this question. Would you believe that he was acting like a nut if he came up to you and called you vile and vicious names and told you to get out because he didn't want you at the graduation? Would you think he was acting like a lunatic?
Not necessarily.
Well, what would you think of his behavior?
Listen, if I had been told prior to coming that I wasn't wanted there by my daughter calling...
Just a second.
Erica,
her daughter did not say, I don't want you to come to graduation. No, listen to me very carefully, madam. She said, I told my daughter I didn't want her at the graduation. That's what she said.
Well, let's bring Erica. She'll tell you what she wants.
I'm not going to do that, because that's what a bad mother would do.
She's not asking to bring Erica. I am.
I'm telling you, she didn't turn around and say to you, oh, I wouldn't do that to my daughter. She's a bad mother. She's so full of anger and hate in her heart that it obscures her judgment as far as being a good mother. And she better change, otherwise her daughters will grow up to hate her. They will hate her.
And as far as her going over there and doing whatever she claims she did, it didn't happen because I was with her.
I'd like to hear what the child said on the answering machine. Could you bring it up here, Bert, so I can listen to it?
Go ahead and press the middle button. That's a message she left on my cell phone at 6:20.
My mom is burning your clothes. You think your daughter was lying when she says, my mom is burning your clothes?
We had an argument that morning, Your Honor.
So you just think it's serendipity that your daughter calls and says, my mom is burning your clothes, and the clothes turned up burned in front of her house? You think that those two things just came aligned in this universe? You better go see a good therapist, madam. You need a good therapist. Do you work?
Yes, I do work.
What kind of job do you have?
I'm a phlebotomist.
Better spend a little more time at work and a little less time hating. Spend a little less time hating. It didn't work out. 52% of the marriages in this country don't work out. She didn't steal him away from you. You threw him out. That's what you told me. You said you didn't like the way he behaved, so you threw him out. She found him. You should be grateful.
She can keep him.
Listen to me. That's right. You should be grateful instead of having a heart full of anger. Believe me, if you have a heart full of anger, you're never going to find anybody, madam. Nobody wants somebody who's miserable and angry. You'll spend the rest of your life alone.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Just listen to me carefully, and then try to put yourself on some medication, maybe.
And later today,
$1,000 to be awarded to the Player of the Year.
The only person that really came
was?
Right here.
Do you know what that makes him? Player of the Year.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Diana Galarzo says her fiancé's estranged wife, Myrna Cosio, owes for burning a graduation dress she bought for her daughter. Diana also says Myrna started an argument at the ceremony.
How much did you spend for the outfits?
I have the receipts here.
Just tell me how much you spent for the outfits.
180.
Now I'll take the receipts, Bird.
Plus pain and suffering and...
You don't get pain and suffering.
Loss of work and...
Listen to me very carefully, Ms. Galarzo.
Yes.
What you wanted was for her to learn a lesson. I don't know whether her ears were open. If they were, fine. If not, she's going to be the loser, as are her 2 children. She's responsible for the burnt clothes because she burned them. Her bad behavior has just been memorialized in front of 10 million people. Unless she changes her course of conduct, she's already been pre-warned that her children are going to grow up hating her. You can either put a period and move on and say, I had a marriage, it didn't work out. But out of this marriage came 2 lovely children, just listen to me carefully, and then try to put yourself on some medication, maybe. If you don't already take it. I have 2 beautiful children. I want to devote myself to them and to making myself a happy life. And I don't want to be angry with somebody who's taking a burden off my shoulders. And you don't control what happens with your girls, because your girls have 2 parents. And you won't have them at all in your life if what you continue to do is to disrespect their father. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $180. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was just upset because she was there at my daughter's graduation, and I didn't appreciate that.
Like Judge Judy says, she has to put a period and go on with her life.
She needs counseling, anger management, and I hope she gets it.
There's nothing to talk about.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Aziz versus Robertson, step forward.
Basil Aziz is suing comedy club owner Jay Robertson for the cash prize from a Player of the Year contest. Jay says Basil was the only contestant to show up.
Mr. Aziz, according to your complaint, Mr. Robertson is the owner of a club that you have been to in the past, and you saw some sort of an advertisement that indicated that on a particular day he was going to have a contest. You claimed that you went to the contest, that you won the contest, and that Mr. Robertson didn't pay I think it was $1,000, is that right? That he indicated in the flyer was going to be the prize. Mr. Robertson's defense is that not enough people showed up, so that the contest never took place.
Correct.
Okay. Can I see the flyer that notified the public about this contest? Your club is in Virginia, sir?
Yes.
What kind of club is it?
It's a comedy club.
And you had these prepared?
Yes, I did.
Where did you send them?
They was on all sides of town, all over.
Okay. It says $1,000 to be awarded to the Player of the Year. Now, according to your complaint, Mr. Aziz, there was an entrance fee.
I paid that.
I don't see it where it said there was an entrance fee here. What was the entrance fee?
$50 or $100.
Well, who made the decision whether it was 50 or 100?
I did. Originally, how it was all going to be set up, it's going to be $150.
How come you didn't put that down here, sir?
Because I put on, the reason why I put it on there so more people can call. That's why I put on there for more info call.
Okay. And when people called, what did you tell them?
That's when I was telling them that it was $150. With the $150, that would take care of you, you know, far as for your meals, beverage, drinks, everything, plus entering into the contest.
Okay. All right, Mr. Aziz. You got to the club on June 4th?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much did you pay when you got there?
$50.
Who did you give the money to?
The lady at the door.
What was the name of that lady?
That was the ticket lady. Her name was Lisa. And how it was set up, Lisa was to inform anyone who wanted to do the contest. That particular time, we has changed everything from the $150 to where that if you want to do the whole contest, it would be $100.
You can't do, Mr. Robertson.
He changed it too much.
Let me explain something to you. You can't do that, sir. What you're telling me is depending upon your mood, how you felt, or whatever. Sometimes you told people that it was $150. Then it was something else because you changed all the rules.
Well, all the rules...
Mr. Robertson, you can't do that, sir.
All the rules stayed the same. And how the whole contest was supposed to be set up was, I had 5 women. That was going to be a panel. You had to go up on the stage. You had to explain to them why you should be the Player of the Year. They was going to tally up their votes. That never happened.
Well, let me ask you a question, Mr. Robertson. How come it never happened?
Because the only person that really came, because after, when I got back to the club...
The only person that came was?
Right here.
Do you know what that makes him? Do you know what that makes him? Player of the Year.
Thank you. Go ahead and tell me. You want to tell me? He never told me.
Mr. Robertson, when you run a contest and you have somebody that enters, like he did, and paid his money, and you didn't get enough people so that it could be the kind of event you wanted, but there were a lot of people in your club that night, right? How many people were in the club?
I had.
How many people were in the club?
I had a lot of ladies at that particular time.
Right.
And then later on, that's when.
You had a lot of ladies. Would you say you had 200 people?
Something like that.
Line was around the corner,
Hey. You had 200 people, and was that a usual Saturday night, sir?
Something like that.
Did you have more ladies that Saturday night than you usually have?
Yeah, at that particular time.
Do you think that's because you advertised the Players' Ball?
Well, that was the catch, to get the ladies to
Right. So you got what your advertising paid for, Mr. Robertson. Now you have to pay up. The winner, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. That's all. Thank
Parties
you.
are excused. You may step out.
911 operator Sharon Kennedy is suing her ex-boyfriend, Michael Estepellin, for the cost of a cruise and for making unauthorized charges on her credit card.
It's number 148 on the calendar in the matter of Kennedy versus Estepellin. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat.
Ms. Kennedy, according to your complaint, you and the defendant were dating.
Yes.
And you claim that he owes you some money for a cruise that you took together and also for credit card charges that he made on your credit card.
Yes.
Mr. Estepellin says that you were just friends, that the cruise was your treat, and that it was very nice of you as a friend to allow him to charge things on your credit card, but there was never an agreement for him to pay you back. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you?
40 years old.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a race car official and a mechanic.
Are you married?
No longer.
You have children?
One.
Who does that child live with?
Her mother.
And who do you live with?
My father.
How long have you lived with your father?
6 months.
Do you pay him rent?
Yes.
How much rent do you pay him?
Not enough. About $100.
When did you meet Miss Kennedy?
When we were about 15 years old.
And did there come a time when you and Miss Kennedy started to have a relationship that was more than just friendly?
When we were 16.
More recently, sir, so that we can come into this millennium. You went on a cruise together.
Yes, we did.
And when was that cruise?
Early this year, January or February, I believe.
Had you been going out with her socially prior to that?
She had come to California from Arizona occasionally, and when she did, we would go out to dinner.
Just dinner?
Dinner and a movie.
Nothing more intimate than that?
No, ma'am.
When you went on the cruise, did you have one stateroom or two?
We had one.
Did you have one bed or two?
We had one.
And did you sleep on the floor or in the bed?
On the bed.
And what about Miss Kennedy?
On the bed.
How long was the cruise?
4 days.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding you going on the cruise.
We had been talking one time. She came to California out to dinner. She was talking about vacations, that she had been wanting to take a vacation since she had been recently divorced. The next thing I had found out about the cruise was when she emailed me that she had booked a cruise, and she picked the dates around my racing schedule when I had an off weekend. So she had already planned it, booked it, and sent me the information.
No. In December, when I picked Michael up from being in jail for 30 days, we had discussed...
What was he in jail for?
Because he failed to finish his anger management classes from a domestic violence issue on his wife.
That should have been your first clue.
I know. I know.
Go ahead.
So when he got out of jail, we went to the motel, and we discussed going on vacation. And I said, okay, I'll do some research on it. And when I met him again 2 weeks later when I went to California, I brought him all the information, and he agreed to pay half of the cruise. We booked the cruise for January 17th.
When was he supposed to pay for it?
After racing season started, which was the end of January.
And he never paid for it?
Correct.
When did you make him a card holder on your credit card?
After March, when we both told each other that we loved each other.
March?
Yes.
Some 2 months after he failed to pay you for the cruise?
Correct. But I had not asked him for the cruise money yet.
You just told me he was supposed to pay you for it when racing season started, which was a month later, and he didn't pay you.
Correct.
And if he didn't pay you, you should have had a clue that this wasn't somebody that you wanted to extend any further credit to.
Yes, ma'am.
So now I'm not interested in the cruise anymore.
Okay.
Now I'm interested in the credit card.
Okay. After Michael and I told each other that we loved each other on March 8th, He had been kicked out of his grandmother's house in February.
Why was he kicked out in February?
That I don't know the specifics. All I know is that she was very upset with him. It was some issue in the kitchen that she had just cleaned the kitchen, and he was not wanting to clean it up and got all over her, and it was not a pretty sight. So she told him he had to
finished that anger management course.
Correct. So then in March, he started living at a motel, and he told me that for racing, he would start traveling. So we agreed to put him as an authorized user on my American Express card. He would only use it for necessary items such as gas and lodging. And within a 1-month period, he had gone to Shoe City numerous times, Motherhood Maternity, and I sure as heck wasn't pregnant, Victoria's Secret. So he was obviously romancing another woman.
So what happened when you got the first bill?
When I found out, I went online and checked the amount that was being charged so far. And I called Michael on April 9th, and I asked him what happened. He told me that someone had broken into his motel room and stolen the numbers because he still had the card. So like a fool, I believed him. And I had American Express cancel out that first card, send him a second card. Same thing happened. Room was miraculously broken again, and more charges started happening. So by the time the third card got to him, American Express had suspended the account, and I wasn't even allowed to use it because the charges were up to $11,000. Michael told me, just dispute all the charges. And I told him, I can't dispute the charges if they're legitimate charges.
Well, she had told me that she was going to give me a card to help me on the road, and that's what I had used it for. And yes, I had charged it, and yes, I did go to Victoria's Secrets, because by that time I had met somebody else who I did like, and was planning
we were still having sex.
planning to have a future with. I had told her that the whole time that we were, friends, and that we were always just friends.
Listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's get back to the credit card, sir. So what you're telling me is that when she questioned you about these charges, you told her that somebody had used the card in an unauthorized fashion initially.
No, ma'am. What I had said is that she
Look
told
at me.
Yes, she told me.
No, here.
I am here. She told me that there's numerous charges on him, and she says, "Well, how could there be that many charges?" I said, "I have no idea. Maybe the only way is if somebody got the numbers from my card. That'd be the only other way that could happen."
You're a dishonest man.
I don't believe so, ma'am.
You are a thoroughly and totally dishonest man. Because if you had said to Miss Kennedy the first time around, you got me. I charged things because I originally said I was just going to charge things on the road, which is what you told me.
Eventually.
I'm speaking.
Yes, ma'am.
You said I'm going to charge things on the road, motel, meals, that sort of thing. And then you chose, because you met somebody else, to charge things on the credit card that she questioned. And you knew that if you said to her, I met somebody else, and yes, I did charge some things for that other person, she would have canceled the card. You chose not to do that. And after you got the second card, you did the same thing. You charged things for your new girlfriend. So when I say to you that you are a dishonest person, I know from whence I speak. You are a dishonest and dishonorable person.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He's a hustler.
And later today.
Sir, I wouldn't use her mural.
I did not use her mural.
Just a second. You did.
No, ma'am.
But, Ms. Diaz, don't bother me. I think you ought to find a different line of work, by the way.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sharon Kennedy says her ex-boyfriend, Michael Estepellin, made unauthorized charges on her credit card. Sharon claims Michael lied about the card getting stolen.
What were the costs that he put on your credit card?
The charges that I did not dispute in a 30-day period was $3,675.84.
Can I see those, please?
The highlight ones on the copy are the ones that we did not dispute. And I also have a copy...
You did not dispute them because he made them.
Correct. I have a copy of the cell phone bill that we also went on the family plan with.
Shh, I don't care about the cell phone. He's a hustler.
Yes.
Judging for the plaintiff for the amount of $3,600. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She seems to think I'm a dishonest hustler. That's fine. That's her opinion.
Michael was in jail again in May, and I called his cell phone, and his girlfriend answered.
She finally got it through her head that we were going to be nothing but just friends.
I was totally shocked. I could not believe how much of a charmer he was and how good a liar he really was.
Now she's just she's a scorned woman who didn't get away.
The money is just secondary to what Michael and I had.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Diaz versus Altunia. Step forward, please.
Artist Mariana Diaz is suing former client, restaurant manager Robert Altunian, for the cost of a painted mural. Mariana says Robert never paid for her work.
Ms. Diaz, you claim that the defendant owes you for a mural that you painted for his restaurant. And Mr. Altunia says that he didn't like the result, so he's not paying for it.
Right.
When did you hire Ms. Diaz?
Exact date, I don't really remember.
Month.
Because maybe November or October.
When did he hire you?
On November 5th.
And what was your agreement with her, Mr. Altunia?
Actually, I was trying to find a mural person.
Listen to me.
What was my agreement with her? $3,000.
Okay, you were going to pay her $3,000
Yes,
for the
ma'am.
mural. And how long did she work on the mural?
Almost 6 weeks.
And you didn't like the result?
Yes.
Do you have a photograph of the mural that you completed?
Yes.
I'd like to see it, please. How did you find her, by the way, Mr. Altunia?
I put the words around that I need a mural, and she knew one of my secretaries. It was a friend of hers or something, and when I asked her, she said, I'll do it.
And you agreed on a $3,000 price?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see what you've put in there in place of this, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I actually run it. I have a couple of samples that...
I don't want to see a sample.
No.
I want to see what you did over her work.
Here. And the top one, too. And the back. That's it.
This is what is over the mural that she painted.
Yes.
You sure?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
I'm sure.
Oh, I see what you did. You used part of her mural in the center, which is what you showed me. You used this part, and you had someone else paint pictures of women, dancers, around it.
Yes, ma'am, it's true.
Okay, good. Well, it's certainly, I will tell you, Miss Diaz, have you seen it? I'm going to show it to you. It certainly is lovely what he did. He added to your piece. Just show that to Miss Diaz. Okay.
I know the artist that did this. He's awesome guy.
Yes,
awesome.
he's wonderful. He used your center.
Right.
And then he painted beautiful women dancers around the back, and he is awesome.
It is awesome.
He is awesome. Let me have it back.
I met him while I was working on this because...
There's no question about it.
Yeah.
That as far as artists go, Miss Diaz...
He's amazing.
He's terrific. But Mr. Altunia, you see, this is your problem, sir.
Okay.
How long have you been in the restaurant business?
32 years.
Let's say Officer Byrd and I decide to take our families to your restaurant.
Sure.
We come together. How many are in your family?
6.
All together. You know,
Altogether,
children.
6. Yeah.
My basic family is 22. Children, their spouses, and grandchildren.
Sure.
So between the two of us now, we're 28 people. And we come to your restaurant. What kind of food do you serve, sir?
I have 8 kind of different restaurants that I represent.
This one?
I do not. This one is French restaurant. It's a cabaret, madame.
Good. So we come to your cabaret, and we eat, and we drink, and at the end of the meal, I say to him, you know what? I didn't like the food. I had better French food across the street.
All right.
So, Mr. Altunia, we're not paying the bill because we didn't like your food. We ate it. We used it. But it was better food across the street. Would your first phone call be to the police and say, these people are trying to scam me out of a $5,000 bill?
No,
They came, they ate my food, they drink my wine, and when I present them with a bill, they say, you know, we had better French food. What?
Before I forget, can I give you the answer?
Sure.
I would invite you again for free next meal.
Well, the next time, sir, that she paints a mural for you, maybe she'll do it for free. This time, you got to pay for it.
My personal knowledge is...
What?
Good.
Your Honor.
That's good.
Sir, I wouldn't use her mural. Listen to me.
I did not use her mural.
Just a second. You did.
No, ma'am.
You used her mural because
No,
I'm
ma'am.
looking at the...
All right.
I'm looking at the work that
All
your
right.
artist did, and your artist used right in the center a little piece of her work. Whether you chose to use her work or not, that's not what's relevant, sir. If you made an... Ms. Diaz, don't bother me. I think you ought to find a different line of work, by the way. But what I'm telling you is, she spent 6 weeks there. The fact that she is a person of marginal talent is not her fault. She really wanted to do a good job. This is the best job she could do. She didn't necessarily try to hurt you, and all during the work process, because I read the papers, you kept giving her money for supplies. Instead of looking at it and saying, listen, my 6-year-old grandchild could do this job.
I did the same thing, Your Honor.
Oh, just a second.
Okay,
Instead of doing that, you continued to give us supplies because she says, I could do better, I could do better. And I would have said, listen, let's stop right here. I see after 2 weeks this is not working out. I'm going to give you $1,000. I'm going to hire somebody else. But you, Mr. Altunia, said to her, fine. Here's the money. Go continue to work. Not the right thing to do, sir. You made a mistake.
Can I answer again, Your Honor?
Sure.
All right. When somebody starts, you know, she's a nice girl. When somebody starts, and a friend of my secretary too, she was very nice, and she's very kind. Believe me, she did her best. I seen her go from books to bookstores. I seen her bringing so many pictures. I seen her sleep there sometime. I was wrong by hiring for such cheap price and expecting the most.
Mr. Altunia.
Yeah.
That's where you're mistaken.
That's right. I think
that's
she
your
was
mistake.
expensive.
You've been in business 33 years. You
that's
get
right.
what you
That's
pay
very
for.
true, Your Honor.
And the artist who ultimately did this, clearly, if they
Your Honor,
charge
please do me a favor. I gotta tell you this. I want to show it to you.
I want to
what
also
she did.
express some things.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. You go.
First of all, I mean, I'm not going to discuss art, and here is just my time that I put into that thing.
Does it sound as if you're not going to win this case?
No, and also, I mean, just defending a little bit my art. This thing we agreed before I started that I was going to do over the stage, because that was the stage.
Your Honor, excuse me.
And I did it in God leave. So
Miss
I mean, I
Diaz,
don't-
Miss Diaz, listen
Right.
to me, sweetheart.
Right.
He's got to pay you the $3,000. Put it down. He's got to pay you the $3,000 because that was your
Your Honor,
agreement.
one more second, please.
Yes.
I told her to put a Moulin Rouge.
Yeah,
Moulin Rouge is a very
it's a
famous
windmill.
restaurant. Moulin Rouge is a beautiful place in Paris. I met better over here. I had a lot of money available to give anything she wanted. I have $1 million location.
Listen to me.
I have now pictured. I told her to make one Moulin, the windmill. That's how she finished it. And I had to work in the top of Moulin Rouge.
No.
Please look at it.
I did the Moulin
Look what
since
she
the
did.
beginning. It was
Yeah, I wanted the Moulin.
amazing. It's amazing. And
You're going to win
okay.
anyway. Please don't. You're gonna, you won already. What are you fighting for?
Mr. Altunia, what I'm telling you is you're a businessman. You've been a businessman for 33 years, according to you, in the restaurant business. You made an agreement with her. Your agreement was she's going to paint, do the best job she could for $3,000.
Right.
The fact that you thought you were getting something for nothing,
That's right.
that's your problem. See,
I
then
guess
you
it
had to
was.
hire somebody to come in and finish the job. And I want to tell you something. The person that you hired is a person that has a tremendous amount of talent. But that's your problem.
It's
She
true.
worked for 6 weeks. You got to pay her. Judge for the plaintiff.
Your
The
Honor-
amount of
Your Honor,
$3,000.
wait,
Thank
don't
you.
give nothing.
Goodbye.
Parties are
Bye.
excused. You
Luck.
may step out.
Thank you.
22-year-old payroll scheduler April Thomas is suing her cousin's ex-girlfriend, 19-year-old health aid worker Tiffany Johnson, for vandalism to her 2000 Dodge Neon. Tiffany is countersuing, claiming April vandalized her Kia Optima.
Come to order, all rise. Quiet in the courtroom, all rise. Hi. Your Honor, this is case number 255 on the calendar in the matter of Thomas versus Johnson. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Anybody who's been to court before, raise your hand. Were you a litigant?
No, traffic court.
And you?
Criminal court.
Criminal court. I assume you weren't a prosecutor,
No.
right?
No.
Good. So we all know what court's about. Court's about telling the truth.
Truth.
So that's what we're going to do today, right, ladies?
Yes.
I have cross complaints. Each of you claimed that the other damaged their car purposely by breaking windows. And each of you say, I didn't do her window, and I didn't do her window.
I didn't do her window.
I didn't do her window.
She has a child with him.
No.
With who?
With my cousin. He's not here.
Where is he?
He's in jail.
Ah! He's in jail. A testament to your good judgment.
Yes.
And according to your complaint, there was some sort of altercation involving the two of them, your cousin and his then ex-girlfriend and the mother of his child. And since then, there's been some bad blood between the two of you. So I want you to tell me when you claim she damaged your car, where the car was, and who witnessed it.
Okay. My car was at my house in my driveway. It was about 5:30 a.m. I don't have the specific date. I know it was in July. I wasn't there. I have a witness that says that shows everywhere where I was at. That says.
Which one is the witness?
She's the witness to who I was with, and he's the witness that seen her damage my car.
Well, I don't care who you were with. I'm not your social secretary. I just want to know who saw her damage your car.
Okay, he saw her damage my car,
ma'am.
Rick.
Okay, step up. Tell me your name.
My name is Rick Howard.
How do you know her, Rick?
I used to work with her a couple years ago.
And what were you doing up at 5:30 in the morning on this date in July that we don't remember?
Smoking a cigarette.
Where?
On her balcony.
What were you doing in her house?
She went out of town, so I was staying there to house sit because she had problems with. She has problems with her neighbors, so I was staying there.
So you got up very early. You went out on the balcony to smoke a cigarette.
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you see?
I heard an alarm go off, so I went downstairs because I thought it was my car, because my car's been stolen before. When I ran downstairs and I turned the corner, I seen Tiffany standing behind the car, like with a blunt object in her hand.
With a what?
Blunt object.
And did you know Tiffany before?
I don't know her, but I know of her.
No. When you say you know of her, had you seen her before?
Yes.
No.
Where had you seen her before?
At a high school.
How many years ago?
About 4 years ago.
And you hadn't seen her in 4 years?
No.
Get to you in a minute.
Okay.
What did you say to her?
I was like, A. I just yelled out A.
And when you yelled out A, what did she do?
She left.
How did she leave?
She got in her car.
What kind of car?
A white car.
So what did you do?
I went back upstairs.
Well, didn't you go and look to see what happened to her car?
Nah, I figured that the window was broken because I heard the window break. So I went back upstairs.
What do you mean you figured that the window was broken? You mean you didn't go over to look at the car?
No.
You figured it wasn't your car, you didn't have any...
Nah, it wasn't that it wasn't my car. It was just that I heard the window break. So she had an object in her hand, so I figured that the window was broken. So I went back upstairs to get my phone, and then I came back downstairs.
When you got your phone, who did you call?
I called April.
Where was she?
Somewhere in the Bay Area.
And you told her what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Did you call the police?
Another lady who was standing across the street, I called the police.
Did the police arrive that day?
Yes, I did.
Did you speak to the police?
Yes, I did.
Did you give them a description of the person that you saw?
Yes.
Did you tell them who it was?
Yes.
You told them by name?
Yes.
Did you get the name from Miss Thomas, or did you get the name from knowing her yourself from high school?
Thomas told me her name from a picture, because she has a picture of her in her house.
So when you told her somebody just came and busted the window out of your car, and they had a white car, and she said to you it must have been Miss Johnson, is that right?
She didn't say it must have been Miss Johnson. Like, she looked familiar from the pictures that she has in her house, and that's how I recognized her, other than I knew her from high school.
What are you doing with a picture of her in your house?
I have a picture of her and her son at my house. We have like a lot of family gatherings, and she comes because her son is included in our family. And when we were tight, we used to take pictures, and I'd keep them in my house. And even though that they're not together, that's still his mother, so I would have the pictures.
Okay. Now, Miss Johnson, let's get to you.
Okay.
No, I didn't ask you a question yet. Don't start. You may be seated. Now, it is your claim that Miss Thomas busted a window in your car.
Yes.
When do you claim she did that?
And this was in June. I never seen him a day in my life.
I didn't ask you anything about that. I asked you about your car.
Okay, this was the real story. We was at a club. We went to a
Listen
club
to me.
in June.
I'm in charge here.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You didn't call the police?
No.
You didn't speak to her afterwards and say, you better fix my car?
No.
You mean you just got even?
No, but she's trying to say...
No. I asked you a question.
No.
I think you did.
And later today...
Who should pay for his window?
They weren't antagonizing the situation.
I'm asking you who should pay for the window.
I think they should pay for it.
Who's they?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. April Thomas says her cousin's ex-girlfriend, Tiffany Johnson, vandalized her Dodge Neon by breaking her window. Tiffany says April did the same thing to her car.
In what month do you claim she damaged your car?
June 25th.
What time on the 25th of June?
Like 12:30 to 1 o'clock.
In the morning?
No, at nighttime. Yeah, morning, yeah, it is morning.
Where was your car?
At a club.
So tell me what happened.
I was parking. My cousin pulled in first. I was parking my car, and as I was parking my car, Miss Thomas jumped in front of my car and told me I cannot park here. She is saving this park for my friend, and she's on the freeway to get there.
So you're moving into a spot. She blocks the spot, and she says, I'm saving it.
Yes.
And you said?
You can't save a park. You can't stand and save a park. It's free parking. My car was, I was so close to hitting her for her just standing in front of my car. So I just parked my car and got out. And she started...
Just a second. So she's standing in the parking space, and you said, well, you're going to get run over, but I'm parking here.
Yes.
So you parked there in the spot.
Yes.
Okay, and she ultimately moved out of the way.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
It was my friend's birthday. That's how I remember the date, because we were all going out. And as I got out my car, she's talking about, you don't want it like this, or you already know about these hands. You don't want to see nobody in my family. We just started talking a lot, just started talking to me, I don't want this, and I just walked away. So we walked down the street by the clubs, then we walked to Old Sacramento, and I just had a funny...
Holy. You went to the club. What happened when you got to the club?
We didn't go in because it was about to close anyways.
And from there you went back to your car?
I went to Old Sacramento, walked to Old Sac.
I don't know where that is, nor do I really care. When did you go back to your car?
In like 20 minutes.
20 minutes after you parked your car and had this altercation with the plaintiff, you went back to your car. And what did you find when you went back to your car?
1,000 pieces of glass broke all over my driver's window. And it was so many people out there telling me, the girl that you just got...
Tell me what anybody else said. Driver's window?
Yes.
What window of your car was broken?
My back windshield.
Okay, so you found your window broken?
Yes.
Now, other than the fact that you had had this altercation with her about the parking space,
yes,
did anyone else who is here today witness her damaging the car?
Crystal.
Crystal. I'm going to take your testimony, Crystal. Step up. Crystal, how do you know Miss Johnson?
I don't know her.
Where do you work?
I stay at home with my son.
And what were you doing out at 1 o'clock in the morning on June 25th?
I was going to the club, too.
Who were you going with?
Some friends.
Tell me what you saw.
Okay, Tiffany had pulled up. April jumped in front of her, told her she couldn't park, and then Tiffany parked anyways. Got out of the car, started walking off. April started yelling at her. Tiffany walked off. One of April's friends had pulled up a couple minutes later, and they had got in the car, drove off, came back like a few minutes later. April had got out of the passenger side, threw something at Tiffany's car, and jumped in the car and took off.
And how come you stayed around the parking area that long?
Because I was sitting in the car across the street talking to some friends.
How did it come about that you met Miss Johnson and told her what happened to her car?
Well, we were still there when she come walking back.
So you told her what you saw?
Yeah.
Did you call the police, Miss Johnson?
No.
How come?
It was late at night. I just knew it was her. That's why I didn't even call the police, because I didn't even think it would go this far with me and her. I know April for a long time.
Well, did you call her the next day?
No, I asked her cousin, my son's dad, told me that she was going around the family acting like she done something very well. And he was mad because all the glass that was in my car, my son cut his hand.
So you mean you didn't call the police?
No.
And you didn't speak to her afterwards and say, you better fix my car.
No.
I don't understand that. You mean you just got even?
No, but she's trying to say...
No. I asked you a question.
No.
I think you did.
Okay, I did.
That's my girl. That's it.
Yeah.
You didn't get mad.
No.
You got even.
Yeah.
Love it.
Like when it works.
Like it when it works, right?
Yep.
Very good. So how much did it cost you to fix your window?
Can I add that also she must have stuck something in my door lock because it doesn't turn anymore.
How much did it cost? Listen.
I'm listening.
How much did it cost to fix your window?
It was $344 for the window, and it came to $253 for the tint.
For the what?
The tint on the window is tinted black.
Why?
Because all my windows are tinted black to keep the sun out.
$344, is that right? It cost you to fix the window?
Yes.
How much did it cost you to fix your window?
$300, and I have to get a rental car because I have to wait till my window to come in.
It cost you just about the same amount of money.
Yes.
Right? Did you both feel good afterwards?
No.
Mama? Did you feel good?
I didn't do anything.
Oh,
sure you did.
Yes, you did.
Of course
she
you
is
did.
a devil in disguise.
Of course you did. Now, my only problem with both of you is, I mean, you're acting like children.
Yeah.
Which is, shh. You're acting like children. And the only problem that I have with both of you is, why do you visit your childish behavior on the court system? Why do we have to become involved in your childish behavior? You both did something wrong. It ended up costing you both money, right?
Yeah.
Goodbye. Case is dismissed.
Excuse me, you may step out.
I didn't think it would come this far with her breaking my window. I admitted that I went back and broke hers.
She thinks that I broke into her car when I didn't, so it's just plain out ignorance.
I guess she want to be like me, but she can't.
You can see that she's ignorant. She doesn't know the day from night, from 12 a.m. to 12 noon.
I'm cuter than her.
She is just really anal and acts like a true baby mama. We would call it ghetto.
Her attitude is ugly, just like her face.
She's a sloppy CH.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Terry versus Barnes. Step forward, please.
General contractor Stephen Terry is suing his neighbor, 24-year-old restaurant manager Roger Barnes, for throwing a rock through the front window of his house. Roger says Stephen's brother was antagonizing him.
Mr. Terry, Mr. Barnes is your neighbor. It's your claim that on a particular date, which you'll tell me in a moment, he came to your house, he was drunk, he took a rock, he threw it through your window, you want him to pay for the window. Mr. Barnes says it wasn't a rock that broke your window, it was his jacket that broke your window and its heavy buttons, so he's not paying for your window, right?
Right.
What date did he break your window?
It was St. Patrick's Day this year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Are you Irish?
Nope.
But you celebrate with the Irish?
Yeah.
Were you celebrating on St. Patrick's Day?
Yes.
Were you a little drunk?
A little bit.
Okay, so your jacket broke the window?
Yeah.
No, not yeah. Yes was good. Yes was good before. Yes, so you should stick to yes.
Yes.
Tell me how it came about that your jacket broke the window.
Well, actually, I was at my house with my brother here. He's a witness.
Just get to the window, will you please?
All right, well, we got an argument.
I'm interested in the jacket. How the jacket, which was on your body initially, left your body, according to you, caused the breaking of Mr. Terry's window.
Well, I was outside, and we were in a big argument. And
Who was in an argument?
His brother and this guy named Eric. And basically, I thought I was going to have to defend myself against these two guys, and I ripped it off and flung it to the side, and as I did, it broke their window.
Well, show me how high the window was, sir.
It's about, yeah, at the bottom of the window.
Well, when you say you flung your jacket, you indicated you flung the jacket to the ground.
Like this. Over that way.
No, show me how you do that, sir. Show me how you get up high enough to hit the window.
Yeah,
Don't hit Mr. Terry again.
Sorry. You could feel it. It's a pretty heavy jacket.
So it was the jacket that broke the window.
Yeah.
So it's not your fault.
Well, if they wouldn't have been antagonizing me outside, it would have never happened. I was trying to leave and go back to my house. You know, we were in a big argument.
Let me ask you this question. Was Mr. Terry there?
Mr. Terry was there, but he
was
in the
antagonizing you?
No, Stephen wasn't.
And who has to pay for his window?
Well, I don't think I should.
Well, who should be? Bird should pay for his window?
No.
Maybe I should pay for his window.
No.
Maybe this camera person should pay for his window.
No.
What do you think? No? Who should pay for his window?
If they weren't antagonizing the situation,
I'm asking you who should pay for the window.
I think they should pay for it.
Who's they?
Stephen and Ryan.
But he wasn't responsible in any way, sir.
I know.
It's not his jacket. Did you get beat up that day?
Nope.
So maybe you were wrong about them trying to antagonize you. You think it's possible that the libation that you consumed on St. Patrick's Day impaired your judgment? Is that a possibility, Mr. Barnes?
They just set me off.
Is that a possibility that the libation that you consumed on St. Patrick's Day impaired your judgment, sir?
Probably had a little bit to do with it, but not much.
All right. I'm not going to torture you much more, sir. This is my daily exercise. It's my breathing exercise for the day. You understand that? Do you think that the fact that you were drinking had more to do with the fact that the window got broken than Mr. Terry?
Well, I mean, if his brother wasn't outside...
Not his brother.
Okay.
He's not right. I'm not my brother's keeper. I'm talking about Mr. Terry.
Okay, no.
So that your drinking had more to do with the window than Mr. Terry's...
Then Stephen did, yeah.
So this is what I suggest you do, sir. How much was the window?
I have the bill for everything. I'm a contractor. I fixed it myself. So
Good. How much was it?
$500.
What?
It's an old window. It broke both the panes, and they're old windows.
You're only suing for $325, sir, so don't tell me that you paid $500 to have the window fixed.
I didn't pay for it. That's how much I would charge to do it myself, but that's okay.
How much did you pay for it?
It's for the glass and the materials.
Yeah.
$100.
$100. And you are a contractor, so you bill for your time. Is that right? And how much do you get paid for an hour?
55.
55 an hour. How many hours did it take you?
7.
Suing for $325. That's very reasonable for a window. Now, this is what I'm going to tell you, Mr. Barnes. I want you to listen to me very carefully, because you're not clouded by libation now, are you? If you believe that it's somebody else's fault, that your jacket that was on your back broke Mr. Terry's window, I suggest that after you pay Mr. Terry $325, you sue those people that you think are responsible. Is that fair?
Sounds fair to me.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $325. Thank you.
Parties are excused.
19-year-old Marcus Mahaffey is suing his estranged mother-in-law, Patricia Strawn, for setting his clothes on fire. Patricia denies the charge.
Quiet in the courtroom, please.
Your Honor, this is case number 167 on the calendar in the matter of Mahaffey versus Strawn. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
Mr. Mahaffey, the defendant is your mother-in-law. You are currently separated from your wife. I assume this is your wife.
Yes.
And you have one child together.
Yes, ma'am.
I gather from your complaint that you, your wife, and your baby were living with Miss Strawn in her home.
Yes, ma'am.
And then there was some altercation involving you and your wife and your baby. You claim that you left, and after you left, Miss Strawn burned your clothes.
Yes.
Miss Strawn says she did not burn your clothes, she put them out on the curb. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When did your daughter and her husband live with you? From when to when?
They're going to be married 2 years in September. Pretty much the whole time they've been with us.
And when did you leave?
May 23rd on a Monday.
Tell me what happened.
I had my mother pick me up from work.
Did she always pick you up from work?
No, ma'am.
Why did she pick you up on the 23rd of May?
I had no ride at the time.
Okay, she picked you up from work and dropped you off at your house?
My house was at her house at the time. I got there, and I asked my mother if she wanted to see our son, Ethan, and I told her to wait 1 minute. I went up to the front porch after arriving at the house.
Why did you tell her to wait? Don't they get along?
To some extent. There's been some problems, arguments.
There'd be no reason why she couldn't have came in.
Okay, go ahead.
I went up to the front porch, and what I saw was Ashley and a couple of her friends smoking marijuana on the front porch, and my son was running around in the middle of them.
Where was your mother-in-law?
She was at work at the time.
Is this the first time that you saw your wife smoking marijuana in front of your son?
No, ma'am.
Was this a frequent occurrence?
Yes.
My daughter did. That's Miss Todd.
Don't shout out again. I let you do it once.
Okay.
But don't do it again.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Put your hand down.
After seeing what I saw, I had asked for Ashley to ask all her friends to leave at the time.
Well, you probably got angry. If what you say is true, you probably didn't just ask. You probably got angry and you were shouting.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you were shouting, and what did you do?
I told her I was going to my mother's house to stay for a little while. So I had picked my son up, and I did not want him to be around.
You picked him up and you walked outside with him?
Yes.
And you went to the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What happened next?
I asked my mother if we could come over there and stay for a day or two. She said that's fine. We had left and went to the house, and when we arrived at my mother's house, Ashley had called me and told me to give her back her son. And I said, not with you smoking marijuana around him. Until you can stop, then you can call me.
All right. Miss McCafferty, I'd like you to stand up, please. You remember going over to the Strawn house on the 23rd of May?
Yes, ma'am.
When you went over there, when your son came back, he came back with your grandson.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what he said to you when he came back?
He simply stated that they were up there smoking marijuana and he didn't want his son around it. And
Did he use the word marijuana?
No, ma'am. Pot.
Okay.
And asked me if he could come over to the house and stay and bring the baby, which at that point I told him yes.
Okay. Keep going, Mr. McCaffrey.
After we arrived at the house, Ashley had called me, and she told me to bring back the baby. And I said, no, not with you smoking. And after that, she had hung up on me. And I called Patty at work, and I had told her what she was doing because before I had called her, Ashley had already called her at work and said that I had kidnapped our son.
Well, that's not possible.
And after that, I talked to her for about 20 minutes or so, and she said, why are you doing this? Ashley does not smoke. She hung up.
Ms. Strawn, are you thoroughly convinced that your daughter doesn't smoke marijuana?
Well, actually...
Just answer my question. Thoroughly convinced?
Yes.
All right. There's a very simple way to find that out, Ms. Strawn.
She's been tested. They turned her into defects.
Has she done a hair follicle test or just a urine test?
The urine test. She passed 5.
Just a second. Has she done a hair follicle test?
Nobody suggested it.
Very easy. We can take care of that.
Well, you'll have to do it to him, too, because he's as bad as she is.
No, just a second. I'm not interested in him right now. I'm interested in your daughter. Urine test is nothing. But a hair follicle test will demonstrate when you smoked, how much you smoked, and it stays in the hair follicle for up to a year. So you understand that if I order a hair follicle test, if your daughter consents, the results of that test can be sent to any domestic relations court when there is an issue of custody and or visitation. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
Now go and discuss with your daughter whether she's prepared for us to take a sample of her hair and send it to our laboratory. Go ahead.
Like
go
I
ask
said,
her.
ma'am, if you
go,
do it to him,
no,
too.
just, he's not an issue.
Good.
Yeah. Fine, we'll do that. At the conclusion of the hearing, we'll do that.
Well, what does that have to do with what the case is about, ma'am?
Well, it has a great deal to do with the case, madam, because what you're saying is that your daughter doesn't smoke marijuana, therefore the story that he just told me about going up to the porch and seeing her is a lie. That's what you're telling me.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm saying, well, there's a very easy way to figure that out. It has nothing to do with whether he smokes marijuana or not. It's whether your daughter did, and you are committed to the fact that she does not.
Right.
You want to smoke dope, that's your business, but don't smoke dope in front of your child.
I don't, ma'am.
Or be around friends who do.
We weren't smoking pot, ma'am.
What were you doing?
Sitting there talking, and he took the baby without a car seat and left. And then at 6 o'clock in the morning, told me to come and get him.
Does he smoke marijuana?
Yeah, he smokes crack, too.
Just a second. Smokes marijuana? And you never... Stand up. Stand up. And what you're telling me is you never did it with him?
Yes, ma'am, I will admit to that.
All right. That's all I'm asking you, my dear. So your mother is mistaken. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
She's been. That's all I wanted to know. That's it. That's the issue. Now you can sit down. You got it. Your daughter does smoke marijuana. She didn't tell you, but she smoked it with her husband. She says he smokes other things, too. I didn't ask her about the other things, but she clearly smokes marijuana. Now we understand each other, Miss Strawn? Oh.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're supposed to stay out of it. This genius picked this genius. Yeah. The only problem... Well, this is your genius, Miss Strawn.
And later today...
Do you have anything you want to say to me, sir?
He didn't say nothing.
I'm not speaking to
well,
you.
He's not going to say anything.
I'm not speaking to you!
Well, I'm speaking to you. I'm telling you, he won't say nothing.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Marcus Mahaffey says his estranged mother-in-law, Patricia Strawn, owes for burning his work uniforms. Patricia claims Marcus is making up a story.
Now, let's get back to your burned clothing. Go! And get there fast, because I have other things to do today.
We arrived at the house after her calling me, and I talked to
So
Patty.
you brought the baby back. Keep
Yes,
going.
ma'am. And that night, when I was talking to Ashley, I heard Patty in the background asking for marshmallows. I asked why they want marshmallows. Did they have a fire going? Ashley said, yes, they're burning your clothes. They want to roast marshmallows over your clothes. And I did not believe her. So the next day, on the 24th, I went over there to see for myself. Patty was not there. Ashley refused to show me any clothes. I just happened to walk down the driveway, and I smelled something burnt, a distinctive smell.
Is that burnt clothes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You want to show me one piece of the burnt clothing? I don't have to see the whole thing.
Your Honor, who's to say that he didn't burn his own clothes?
Me.
After everything he's done to me.
Me. I'm to say.
Okay.
I'm to say. Because I read your answer. Shh. Got it. Okay, you can put it away. Okay. Ms. Strawn says that you took your clothes and she put them out by the curb.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, I did.
You can't do that.
Why?
Because he's a resident of your home, and you have an obligation to hold on to his property until he comes to get it, unless he... Put your hand down. Unless he abandons it. You have no right to take his clothes and put them on the curb, because if you took them and put them on the curb and somebody else came by and burned them, you would be responsible. You have no right to do that.
But he has never so much as paid a cent living
I
in my
don't
house.
care. You allowed him to live in your
put it
home
there.
for
I
2
didn't
years.
want him
I'm
near me.
speaking to you. He lived in your home for 2 years. Don't get in the middle. You're really dumb if you get in the middle, especially if you have 2 children who are babies themselves, and I probably believe you that both of them smoke pot and whatever else. So it's very possible that you 2 mothers-in-law and grandmothers are going to have to be responsible for this baby at some point, because certainly they're not responsible. And I would suggest that you try to maintain reasonable relations. He's allowed to take his child.
No, he's not. There's a TPO
No,
against him.
listen to me. At the time he took his child, there was no custody order. And in this country, the United States of America, one parent does not have any priority over custody over another when the 2 people are married.
But it didn't have anything to do with him pulling up with pot. He wanted the baby, had his mom waiting in the driveway. That's what he did.
Miss Strawn, you weren't there. And the fact that you are so committed to the baloney story that you have concocted in your head, because I believe her when she says that when he came back with the baby and said she's smoking pot on the driveway. I believe he said it. You don't believe it?
I don't, ma'am.
That's your problem. In any event, you have to pay for his clothes. How much were the clothes worth?
The total for the uniforms was $508.
What kind of uniform?
My work uniforms.
What kind of work?
The job he doesn't have anymore.
Mechanic.
You really...
He just got out of jail, for God's sakes.
You are really thick. You're really thick. You're not paying attention to what I'm saying to you.
I'm paying attention.
No, you're not paying attention to what I'm saying to you. What I'm saying to you is you're supposed to stay out of it. This genius picked this genius.
Yeah.
The only problem... Well, this is your genius, Miss Strawn. If he's no bargain, that's her problem. This genius belongs to you. She made a baby with him. He's not going to be out of your life. And that doesn't give you the right to vandalize his property. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $508. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think it was the right decision because what she did was wrong.
I don't care what he says. I didn't burn his clothes.
I wasn't smoking pot in front of my child.
My wife was on the phone, and I heard her in the background saying that she was burning them.
That's not even true because Ashley wasn't even there.
That's hard to get young people to handle situations in an adult manner.
He's crazy.
There will be nothing between us except for my son, and I'm going to try to get custody of him.
He's not going to get him.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Nuno versus Torres. Step forward, please.
Juanita Nuno is suing her daughter, Carolyn Torres, for a loan to bail her grandson out of jail. Juanita says she may lose her home to foreclosure.
Ms. Nuno, this is your daughter, and according to your complaint, you made your daughter a series of loans. She hasn't paid you back. Your daughter says, yes, it's true that you gave her some money. They were gifts. You do that to all your relatives, and you're singling her out for repayment of these gifts because she had a fight with your other daughter. Is that right, Miss Torres?
Yeah, that's right.
What did I just say?
I owe her money, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. They're gifts. To me, they're gifts. I heard what you just said.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Did you have anything to drink today?
No, I don't drink.
You use any drugs today?
No, I don't.
Well, then explain to me what your problem is, Miss Torres.
I don't have a problem.
Who is that?
My kid's father.
Do you live with him?
When I want to, I don't know, when I want him there, I guess.
Step up, sir. What's your name?
Anthony Torres.
How long have you been with Miss Torres?
About 20, 21 years, off and on.
Do you work?
Yeah.
Does your wife suffer from a disability?
No.
Well, is there something wrong with her today? She seems to be out of sorts today.
Well, because I don't think she should be suing me, that's why.
Why did you agree to come here?
I don't know.
Did you discuss coming here with your wife, Mr. Torres?
Yeah.
Why did she come?
Because it's a lawsuit and she needs to come.
Juanita Nuno says her daughter, Carolyn Torres, owes for a loan for bail. Juanita says she posted her grandson's bond after he was arrested for burglary.
Now, if you've been with Mrs. Torres for 20-some-odd years, then you are the father of this young man who got himself into trouble last year?
Yes, I am.
And the first loan, according to you, Miss Nuno, was for bail for your grandson.
Yes, it was.
What was he arrested for?
The jack broke into a school.
So he was arrested for burglary?
Yeah.
Did you call your mother and ask her for bail?
Yeah.
What did
But
you say
he called
to her?
her first, though. He called and I called after.
Who called?
I think my son called first, and then my niece called me, and then I called her back.
And when you called your mother, what did you say to her?
Bail him out. I don't have the money.
And what did she say to you?
She said, what happened? I explained to her what happened. The jack broke into a school, so can you bail him out? She does everybody else, so I figured she'd do him.
Why didn't you bail him out?
Like I said, I don't have the money.
Well, how do you support yourself?
By his child support checks.
Well, you live together. Why does he send you child support checks?
Well, when I want to get, I'll call him. He doesn't really live with me.
Miss Nuno, you really expect her to pay you back?
Yes.
From what?
She applied for Social Security, and she was supposed to...
What was the nature of her disability?
She has arthritis in the spine. That's inherited. It comes down the line. All of us have it. So she applied for Social Security disability.
Yeah.
And they were going to grant it to her. All she needed to do was take a physical exam.
So you expected her to pay you back out of her disability from the government?
Well, not only from that, but from my son-in-law. And I believe him because he never lies.
Well, did he promise to pay you back?
He said he would pay me back. He would pay the bonds people, so that would be good enough.
Is that right, sir?
Yeah, that's right.
So why didn't you pay her?
I intend to, I just haven't had the chance to do it.
It's a year and a half ago, almost 2 years. When are you going to do it?
As soon as I can.
So after they didn't pay you the $1,600, 6 months later you gave her another $2,000. You want to tell me why?
Because I beat her daughter. That's why. That's exactly what happened. She lent me money to move out because I beat her daughter for stealing my child support check.
No, Judge Judy.
Yes, that's what happened.
I billed Anthony out in November.
You got $1,600, Ms. Nuno. What's the $2,000 for?
For getting me out of her house. I was staying with her for 2 months.
Why were you staying there for 2 months?
Because my stupid son, we lost our house in Redlands, so I had to go move in with her because of what he did.
How many other children did you move in with?
5.
How old are your children?
15, 14, 10, and 3. And my son, Anthony, that's 18. He's 18.
You have a 3-year-old child?
Yes, I do.
How did you, with your terrible disability, have a 3-year-old child?
I guess. I don't know how. Well, how else am I going to have a kid?
Judge Judy, you wouldn't believe it. You will not believe this. I had her put in a convent in Mexico. I had tried to educate her day one, and you know...
That's what she went wrong when she sent me to Mexico. She never should have ever sent me to Mexico when I was 10 years old. Never.
Do you have anything you want to say to me, sir?
He didn't say nothing.
No.
I'm not speaking to
Well,
you.
he's not going to say anything.
I'm not speaking to you!
He'll still won't say nothing, though.
I'm not speaking to you.
Well, I'm speaking to you. I'm telling you, he won't say nothing.
Listen to me very carefully, Miss Torres. You've already shamed yourself in front of a lot of people.
I don't care.
You have a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 10-year-old who can all understand everything that's going around them. I feel very sorry for them, and I guarantee you that if you live alone with your children now, I'm putting in a call to social services to go and monitor your home if these children are, in fact, living with you. Are they living with her? Are the children living with her?
Yeah.
Well, somebody's going to monitor it. You're not there, is that right?
Most of the time, no.
Listen, Miss Nuno, There is no question in my mind that having spent 10 minutes with your daughter, you had no reasonable expectation that that $2,000 was going to get repaid to you. Maybe the bail money, because you say that you had confidence in your son-in-law, and he says that he agreed to pay you back and he just hasn't gotten around to it yet. Mr. Torres, you have to find something to do with your time other than make children, sir. You have enough children. You have 5 children. And based upon what I've heard, you're not doing too well. And neither are your children. So you have to find some other way of occupying your spare time, like getting a second job, so you can support everybody, so they can all live together and not scam the government anymore. Do you understand me, Mr. Torres? This is all one huge scam you've been living with her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out. This one.
Mitchell Ergensen is suing pizza parlor owner Steve Lindner for the cost to fix his truck. Mitchell claims it was vandalized by Stephen's employees.
All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 219 on the calendar in the matter of Ergensen versus Lindner. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Ergensen, it is your claim that Mr. Lindner's employees vandalized your house and your car. And Mr. Lindner says he wasn't there. As far as he's concerned, there is no proof that his employees did anything to your house and your car. Who do you live with, sir?
Myself and my 2 daughters.
How old are your daughters?
17 and 19.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm an electrical contractor.
And you have a restaurant?
Yes.
Sometime in July, according to what I read, you ordered some food from Mr. Lindner's establishment. Have you ordered from him before?
Many a times.
What did you order?
Antipasta salad and a turkey sandwich.
And did they deliver it?
Yes.
Remember what date that was?
The 22nd is the date of this, yes.
No, the
22nd
date of the first order.
Well, what happened
for a
was
sandwich and a salad.
we ordered a couple times and asked for extra Italian dressing prior to that.
Well, I understand that,
Okay.
sir. I read the complaint. I read your complaint very carefully. Sometime before this incident, you had ordered a sandwich and a salad.
Which was 2 weeks before.
That's what I want to know.
Thank you.
2 weeks before this incident. And you had ordered a sandwich and a salad with extra dressing for the salad. What kind of extra dressing did you want?
Italian dressing. A couple extra cups.
And had you ordered that before?
Yeah.
And had they always accommodated you before?
Yes.
Who was the salad and the sandwich for?
Me and my daughter. Actually, my oldest daughter.
Who was eating the salad? Who was eating the sandwich? Who were you sharing?
Share it.
And your order came, and they didn't send the extra dressing.
They didn't send any dressing.
So you called back the restaurant. And what did you say to them?
I asked them, they didn't bring me any dressing. I talked to one of their guys in there. He said, we're very sorry. We'll be out in 10 minutes. And I said, please do, because I don't want to wait another 40 minutes for like I had to wait for my order. I want the salad dressing right away. No problem, sir. We'll be right out there. Waited about 40 minutes, almost an hour. Nobody showed up at my door. I called and I said, can I talk to the manager? And he says, I am the manager. I said, well, I've been waiting for my dressing now an hour. They didn't bring me any. Well, I didn't know. He said, I didn't know anything about it. We have no drivers anymore. They all went home. And I got angry with him. I said, well, I want a credit on my food then. And he said he wasn't going to give me full credit. And I said, I would like full credit for $12. I couldn't eat anything.
You couldn't eat the sandwich?
Not by that time, because we normally put the salad dressing on the sandwich, too. That's why we order extra for the salad and the sandwich. The girls like it. They like the extra vinegar and stuff. So we got mad. The manager hung up on me. I tried to call back. Nobody answered. Nobody answered. So I let it go. And about 2 weeks later, I ordered the same meal. And when the driver got there, I said, we have a credit, and I shut the door.
Very grown up of you.
Yeah.
You think that was right?
Come see, come saw.
What is come see, come saw?
Well, I had a credit.
Do you think,
I mean, the guy agreed he was going to pay me half the credit.
No. Listen to me, sir.
Okay.
You didn't have a credit. You said you wanted a credit.
No, the manager also told me he was going to give me a credit on the salad, but not the sandwich.
That's right. That's what you just told me. He
Right.
said, well, we will certainly, sir, give you a credit on the salad, because if you run the kind of house where you don't have any dressing at all in your house for 3 adults, if you can't eat the salad, we're sorry about that, but we're not going to give you credit on the sandwich. You decided you wanted a credit on both. So when you took your food and slammed the door in the driver's face, which is what you just told me that you did, that was the wrong thing to do.
Okay.
There were a lot of other things that you could have done, other than stiff the driver. Because
Well, it wasn't the driver. It was the pizza.
No, it's the driver. Because they're giving them the food, and when they come back and he says, listen, we went to somebody's house, and they wouldn't give us any money, either one of two things happen. Either they say, well, we're taking it out of your money, or they call you. Did they call you?
No.
So you don't know whether the driver got stiffed with your $12 meal. Anyway, Mr. Ergenson, it was very immature of you. And what I'm surprised about is, evidently you are a single father raising two children. It would seem to me that you would have enough to occupy your plate other than engaging yourself in these petty little situations that cause nothing but problems for people. Are you telling me that your girls are so perfect that you have nothing else to worry about? Or maybe they're not so perfect that you got plenty to worry about, that you were taking it out on some stranger.
No, my girls are plenty perfect. They're very
They're
good
plenty
girls.
perfect. Well, then there's something wrong with you.
Okay.
All right. Now,
For a single father that runs a business for 20 years and raises two girls since they've been 2 and 4, I think I'm pretty good.
well, then I want to tell you something. If your girls are perfect and you run a nice business and you don't have enough to do with your time, I'd start volunteering a little bit more, because this business is ridiculous, petty baloney. So now what you're complaining about is that the next day,
No.
2 days later,
No.
that night,
That night, I had 4 guys come to my house and try to strong-arm me for $12 at my door and threaten to ask me to come outside so we can take care of outside.
Okay.
And I
So
shut
you
the
had-
door in their face.
So this little escapade of yours, then 4 people came back to your
Yeah.
house
To threaten me
and
from
wanted
this
the
place.
12, just a second, and said they wanted the $12. And
Yeah.
again, you slammed the door in their
No,
face.
I told them I have a credit. I said, where's the manager? The guy, this one over here, says, I am the manager. And I said, you're the manager from the place? Well, great. Do you remember this? He says, no. And the other guy that's not here today says, oh, you were the one that complained about the salad dressing. I said, so you know about it. You know what happened 2 weeks ago. He said, yes. And I said, okay, then you have a credit with me. If you have a problem, tell the owner to call me. We'll deal with it in court. If you want to sue me for 12, sue me for 12. So that's how it happened.
Volunteer.
They threatened me in my house.
Volunteer. It was a stupid thing to do. Should have written it off. You understand?
Yes.
You're dealing with somebody who's got a little too much time on his hands and a little bit too much aggression in his gut.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was up a whole night and frightened because her father acted like a jerk. That's why she was up all night, because her father acted like a big baby.
And later today,
You're not supposed to fib anytime, especially not when you're in court, because that's a fib. If your mother doesn't know it's a fib, I know it's a fib.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mitchell Ergenson says pizza parlor owner Stephen Lindner owes for vandalism to his truck. Mitchell claims Stephen's employees doused it with salad dressing.
First of all, Mr. Ergenson, when you order a salad with dressing and a sandwich, the sandwich doesn't come with Italian dressing. So what you're doing is saying, when I asked you, well, why couldn't you eat the sandwich? You said, we'd like to put the dressing on the sandwich. You're not entitled to that. You're not entitled to that.
But
the sandwich comes alone.
Yeah.
The dressing comes with a salad. You want dressing for your sandwich, go to the store and buy a bottle of dressing so you have dressing for the sandwich.
But it's not the same dressing. Their salad dressing has their own taste and their own life. It's like when you go to different restaurants. When you go into different restaurants, do you like different salad dressings that different restaurants serve you?
Mr. Ergenson, listen
That's
to me
what
very
happens.
carefully, sir.
Okay.
Then you don't say, send me extra dressing for the sandwich that I'm not entitled to. You say, I'm prepared to pay you extra to send me extra dressing because I like dressing on my
If
sandwich.
they said it cost extra, I would have been happy to pay for it.
Did you? Just a second.
Happy to pay for
You
it.
were getting something for nothing. You wanted something for nothing. You're
No,
not
I did
entitled
not.
to that.
No, I did not.
Mr. Ergenson, you're a big baby.
Okay.
That doesn't
Thank
mean
you.
you're a big baby.
Thank you.
That doesn't mean your people were entitled to vandalize his house. Now, Mr. Ergenson, I will take a look at the photographs of your house
And my car.
and your car.
And I have the cups that they used.
I don't care about the
All
cups
right,
that
and
they
I have a
used.
new cup too. It shows in the pictures. And they also have repairs that you might want to see.
Let me see the bills. Mr. Lindner, the way to respond to someone who is behaving in an immature way is not to stoop to their level. There isn't a question in my mind, after examining these photographs, that this vandalism to the plaintiff's house was done by someone in your employ or in the employ of the restaurant. No question. You get me?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah. Now, I don't know whether you went home. I don't know whether they said, listen, he deserves it. What he did was he was acting like a baby, acting like a big baby. But you don't take the law into your own hands and commit a crime.
Absolutely not.
You want to file a police report and say he stole food from me? That's your prerogative. He did. It would be no different from him coming into a restaurant, having a meal, and getting up and leaving, and saying, well, the last time I was here, I didn't have a good meal, and I wanted a credit, and they wouldn't give me a credit. So this time, I'm enjoying my meal, but I'm not paying for it. No different. What he did was, he stole from you. And for that, oh, yes, you did, sir. There is no difference from what you did than if you walked into their restaurant or walked into a... I'm speaking. No difference than if you went into a restaurant, ate, didn't like the meal, they wouldn't give you a credit. And a week later, go back to the same restaurant, order the same meal, and get up and leave. And if the police came, they would have arrested you for theft of services, because that's what it is. They still had no right to vandalize your house. Do you understand?
Yes.
You don't resort to that sort of behavior because he acted like a jerk.
And came to my house and threatened me in my house.
No, ma'am.
And my daughter will attest to all that, too.
Listen, I don't want to get your daughter involved. It's bad enough she had to be involved. It's bad enough she had to be involved with it because of your stupidity.
From these guys doing this.
No, listen to me.
She was.
Listen to me. She was up a whole night and frightened because her father acted like a jerk.
Okay.
That's why she was up all night, because her father acted like a big baby. Cost you $229.23. Is that right?
And lost wages in my work.
Well, that's too bad. Camden lost wages in acting like a jerk. They're not allowed to vandalize your property. Cost you $229. I hope it felt good. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Just 1 second. $229.23 less 12. $217.23. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Apparently, I didn't bring him his dressings, which I did offer to bring back, which he did not want.
I just wanted my order the way it should have. When they didn't bring me any, I was a little upset.
He yelled at me for a good 6 minutes or so in the middle of the street.
About principle.
I just think it's about respect between customer and business.
He was enraged, and he slammed the door in my face, and that was it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of White versus York. Step forward, please.
Lisa White is suing business owner Susan York for the cost to repair her vehicle. Lisa claims Susan's son, 8-year-old Dylan, hit it with a rock.
Miss White, it is your complaint that Miss York's little boy, I assume this little boy, was throwing rocks in the street, and one of the rocks hit your car, causing some damage.
That's correct.
And you want his mother to pay for the damage. Miss York says, she doesn't think her son was responsible for that. He was merely rolling rocks, although she wasn't there. She says that it was really your conduct that was outrageous on that day. So tell me when this happened.
It was approximately 7 to 7:15 in the morning on May 12th. I was on my way to work. I was traveling down East Yacht Drive.
Where is that?
It's in Oak Island, North Carolina. As I approached the intersection where the children were, they were in the street.
How many children were in the street?
Approximately 5, 2 boys and 2 or 3 girls.
I assume they were waiting for the school bus?
That's correct.
Okay.
As I approached, I noticed that they were playing in the street, so I slowed down. They moved to the shoulder of the intersection. One little boy was throwing stones into the other empty lot across the street, and as I approached, Dylan threw a rock at my car, and I heard it hit.
You saw him do that?
Yes, ma'am.
So you stopped your car, and what did you do?
I got out, and I'm like, you, come here, what's your name? And I said, look at what you've done to my car. I said, where do you live? He said, down the street. I said, you get in my car, and I'm taking you to your mother to show her what you're doing at the bus stop. Well, he had extra stones in his other hand, and he threw those down. I said, no, you pick those up, you put them in my car, and we're going now. So he got into the car, and I took him straight to his mother's house. I told him to go upstairs and take the stones with him to show whoever was there. I didn't know which parent was home. I said, take those and show them what you've been throwing at my car, and send them downstairs to talk to me. And she came down to talk with me.
And what did she say?
Well, she asked him, did he do it? And why did you do that? I've told you not to throw stones. I told her.
What did he say?
He's like, well, it was an accident. I'm like, no, it was not. I saw him do it.
He said to his mother it was an accident.
That's correct.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Stand up next to your mother. Dylan, how could it be an accident if you were throwing the stones?
I was rolling them across the road, and she was going like 70.
Dylan, I don't want your nose to get long. I want you to tell me how it's an accident that stones that you were rolling on the ground hit somebody's car.
I rolled it, it bounced up on another
You rolled
rock.
it and it bounced up. A rock.
It hit another rock and it bounced.
That's a fib, Dylan. You're not supposed to fib anytime, especially not when you're in court, because that's a fib. And if your mother doesn't know it's a fib, I know it's a fib. You and your friends were throwing rocks, right?
Yes.
And one of the rocks hit her car.
Yes.
See how easy that was?
Yes.
What your complaint is, Miss York, and one that I quite frankly find compelling, is that Miss White exercised very poor judgment in putting your son in her car.
This is correct.
Because I don't think North Carolina is any different from any other place in this country. You don't take somebody else's child and put them in your car. That's very poor judgment, Miss White. I don't think there would have been anything wrong in you saying, if you live right down the street, you go right home, I'm going to follow you, so that you would know where he lived. But you don't take anybody else's child and put them in your car. Now, can I see a picture of the damage to your car?
I do have a photo, but you cannot see the actual dents or chips in the car, in the paint.
Well, there should just be one.
No, there's actually several. I have a police report stating that the officer noted 6 chips areas.
Well, he didn't chip it 6 times. He threw one rock. That's according to you.
He had several stones in his other hand. I don't know how many stones actually hit.
I don't know how many children were involved in throwing stones, but you said to me, I saw him throw a stone. I heard it hit my car. There's a difference in hearing 1 or hearing 6.
Your Honor, may I say something?
Mm-hmm.
When she drove to my house, I saw one little dot, and then in return, it ended up being dents. I never saw a dent. She even herself said it probably won't be much.
Well, what she's suing you for is $300.
Yes, ma'am.
Which isn't much. I think what your complaint is, quite frankly, despite the fact that I read your answer, and your answer gave me the same malarkey that he was rolling stones. Children don't roll stones. They throw stones at cars. And that's what he did, because that's what he just told me he did.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
So you're responsible, because if you want to make sure that your son doesn't do that, and I assume he's done it before, right?
Not that I'm aware of, no, ma'am.
Never heard of him throwing rocks before?
Not at cars.
At anything?
I mean, he's a little boy. I guess he does throw rocks, yes.
Okay, well, if he's a little boy and he throws rocks, then you should be out there with him waiting for the school bus.
Your Honor, I would like to say, when he came home from school, I had asked him what happened. And he admitted that he had been rolling rocks.
Rolling rocks doesn't...
Rolling rocks, throwing rocks, and one hit her car. And then he proceeded to show me how she forcefully put him in her car. I have a written statement for...
I don't take statements from people. She had no right to put him in the car, take him in the car, ask him to get into the car, pick him up. Absolutely no right to do that. He wasn't injured. He went off to school that day. Did you go off to school that day?
Yes.
Did you have a good day in school that day?
Yes.
So he wasn't injured, emotionally or physically. But she did the wrong thing, and I've told her she did the wrong thing. So I read her the Riot Act. You still have to pay to have a car fixed.
That's fine.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $300. That's all.
Thank you.
Administrative Assistant Michelle Simpson is suing her daughter's ex-boyfriend, 22-year-old house painter Kyle Scaife, for his share of a trip to Jamaica. Kyle says he was a guest on the vacation.
This is case number 261 on the calendar in the matter of Simpson versus Scaife. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Simpson, you were taking a family vacation to Jamaica.
That's correct.
And at the time of this vacation, this lovely young man was your daughter's boyfriend.
That's correct.
It is your claim that you agreed to advance him the money to go on this vacation with the agreement that he would, when the vacation was over, pay you back.
That's correct.
You did take him on the vacation, paid for him. He and your daughter have now parted company, and he has never paid you back.
That's correct.
And Mr. Scaife says that he had a wonderful time on vacation.
Right.
But he was your guest, right?
Right.
Who was this?
This is my roommate at the time. We were invited. Her daughter lived with us. He was a witness.
Did you go on the vacation too?
No, ma'am.
Just he went.
Just me.
You didn't want to go to Jamaica?
I wanted to, but she wouldn't pay for me.
Oh, step up. Tell me your name.
Justin Runyon,
How old are you, Justin?
23.
And you were living with Kyle and...
Natalie.
Natalie.
She lived with us, actually.
So tell me, Justin, when was this trip?
I think it was like May of last year.
And Natalie told you about the trip?
Yes, ma'am. She came over to our house and was all excited and said that...
Look at me. No, look at me.
She told Kyle that he could go with them for free.
She did?
Yes, ma'am.
She said, oh, you can come with us and you can come for free.
Yes, ma'am.
And didn't you say, can't I go for free too?
I joked around about it, but...
Well, tell me how you joked around about it.
Well, Natalie...
Come on, tell me what you said. You remember exactly that she said, please, I want you to come to Jamaica. You can go for free. So if you remember that so clearly, I want you to tell me what it is that she said to you and what you said to her. Think carefully.
Natalie told Kyle that he could go for free, and Kyle's like, well, are you sure about that? And she's like, even if we break up, you don't ever have to pay my mom back.
Oh. Oh. It's like I'm watching Dumb and Dumber. Huh? Right? Don't you love it?
I was trying to figure out which one is Jim Carrey.
Yeah, so you're right. Me too. All right, Justin. Thank you very much. You've been most enlightening. You may sit down now.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel. It's incredible.
Wonderful. It's just wonderful. I don't even need a good night's sleep. Okay. Now, Kyle.
Yes, ma'am.
Last year, what were you doing to support yourself?
I was a bartender.
Were you working full-time?
Yes, ma'am.
So, get good tips? Nice-looking guy like you?
Sometimes tips were great. Sometimes we weren't so busy.
Well, you managed to support yourself, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Are you still working as a bartender?
No, ma'am.
What are you doing now?
I paint houses.
Got a girlfriend?
No, ma'am.
What happened with Natalie?
It just didn't work out.
She's a nice girl, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Come on, Natalie.
Thank you. Been wanting to play too.
You want to play too? No, I usually have all the fun. Natalie.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever tell Kyle in Justin's presence? Let's see if I can repeat that exactly. I want you to listen to me carefully, Justin, to make sure that I'm going to repeat it pretty much as you told me. That you wanted to take Kyle on a trip to Jamaica for free. He doesn't have to pay for anything. And even if you break up, he doesn't have to pay your mother back. That's what you told me, right?
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am, I did not.
Tell me about the trip to Jamaica, Natalie.
We had a great time.
Good.
Originally, my mother and myself and her best friend were scheduled to go on a trip. Kyle and I got a little serious, and he hinted around a lot. He would have liked to go. I didn't really mind that Kyle went. I mean, I was actually looking forward to him being there. I knew he did not have that kind of money, and neither did I, honestly. So when I ran it past Mom, I said, Mom, Kyle's kind of after me. He really kind of wants to go. You know, is there something we can do, whatever? And Mom said, can he borrow the money from his parents? Kyle said, no, that's not an option. Mom said, well, I can give him a loan. And at that time, we were expecting Kyle to get a settlement from an car accident that he had been in. And everything we did revolved around that settlement. Utility bills, cell phones, anything. He kept going back to that.
So he kept hoping to get this settlement check.
Yes, ma'am, he did. And in addition, when you asked him what happened with Natalie, you should ask him about his financial priorities and where his responsibilities are.
Well, why don't you tell me?
They're nowhere. They're video games, predominantly. Kyle was in between jobs most of the time. After his car accident, I actually paid his bills in he and Justin's home.
What kind of car accident were you in, Kyle?
I was rear-ended at a stoplight.
Were you the driver of the car?
Yes.
So you sued the car that hit you?
Just for medical bills and everything like that.
Kyle, did you sue through an attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
An attorney doesn't sue just for medical bills, Kyle. attorney sues for pain and suffering, for your injuries, and to reimburse the company that paid your medical bills, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever get a settlement?
It's in litigation.
Look at me!
It's in litigation right now.
So you haven't gotten the settlement yet?
No, ma'am.
So what you were doing is really you were counting your chickens before they were hatched?
No, ma'am.
Ah, okay. So what kind of an arrangement, Natalie, did you make with Kyle for the trip?
Originally, I said, my mother will pay for you to go on the trip. However, we need to pay her $50 to $100 a month until you receive that settlement, assuming that it was going to be within the duration of the relationship, which I quickly realized that that wasn't going to be the case.
All right, Kyle.
Yes, ma'am.
How much did you give Miss Simpson towards the trip?
Nothing. As far as I knew, it was a gift.
Shh. Listen to me. Just answer my question. How much did you give her?
I haven't given anything.
Well, see, that is confusing to me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I have one of him climbing a palm tree.
Oh, let me
jumped on the
see.
banana
Oh, I
boat.
want to see. The insurance company that's handling his lawsuit with his lawyers that's been pending for ages is certainly going to want to see these pictures.
And later today,
She said you advertised for a
new, never been worn chicken suit.
new, never been worn chicken suit. This wasn't something you planned on wearing, I assume.
Michelle Simpson and her daughter, Natalie Ballard, say Natalie's ex-boyfriend, Kyle Scaife, owes for his share of a trip to Jamaica.
Now, what do you do for a living?
I'm an administrative assistant.
You have a household?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Who lives in your household?
Right now, myself and my youngest daughter.
And are you the sole support of yourself and your youngest daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
How much do you earn a year?
Approximately $38,000.
Okay. Now, how much were you making last year?
Under $20,000 a year.
So you made a little more than half of what the plaintiff made, is that right?
Probably.
Right. And you only had to support...
Myself and her daughter.
You were supporting her daughter?
Well, we were doing it
Just
together.
a second. You were supporting her daughter?
We were doing it together, actually. It wasn't. I wasn't
No,
paying
ma'am.
everything. We were both paying everything together.
So you were supporting...
Myself.
Right. And why would you think that this lady who's running a household, taking care of a minor child, why do you think that she would decide to blow you to a $1,000 vacation?
I was actually shocked. You know, actually, I never asked.
I'm
to go.
shocked too. I want to tell you something, Kyle. It's shocking to me. Shocking. Because her daughter would have gone without you.
I'm sure she
In a
would.
flash.
Yes, ma'am.
In a flash, she would have gone without you for a week, gotten a nice tan, come back, shown you pictures, and said, I had a great old time.
Yes, ma'am. Probably.
You don't want to be a bum, do you, Kyle?
I wasn't. I never asked.
No, you don't. Listen to me. You don't want to be a bum, do you?
No, ma'am.
You don't want to take things that should really be better spent on a child
Of course not.
for you to go on a vacation, do you?
Well, I was invited to go on a vacation, and it sounded like a good idea.
I don't believe that, sir.
Well, that's the way it happened.
I don't believe that, sir. I believe that she advanced the money, and I believe she gave you a lot of latitude to pay it off because, you know, you were expecting some windfall from some bogus accident that hasn't come through yet. And you, like any other 21-year-old, are living in a fantasy world that you're going to turn out to be a millionaire because somebody rear-ended you even though you're not injured. He's going to be sorry he came here. When you went on this trip to Jamaica, did you participate in water sports?
No, ma'am.
Did he participate
Yes,
in water
ma'am.
sports? Sure he did. Sure he did. Did you go swimming?
Yes, ma'am.
What other water sports did
I
he
have one of
participate
him
in?
climbing a palm tree.
Oh,
We
let me
jumped on the
see.
banana boat.
Oh, I want to see. The insurance company that's handling his lawsuit with his lawyers that's been pending for ages is certainly going to want to see these pictures, but I want to take a look at them first. Does this look like a healthy man to you?
Yeah, pretty healthy.
Oh, look at him climbing up the tree. Yes. Look at him climbing up that tree. Picking up his girlfriend. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Oh, well, not only will you probably not get this money from your car accident, and the substantial injuries that you alleged in your complaint, but you owe her $916. Judgment for the plaintiff. Step out.
Parties are excused. Let me step out.
I think somebody finally taught him a lesson.
Regardless, win or lose, at least I'm glad this is over with.
I know Kyle better than anyone else, and no one can make him do anything he doesn't want to do but Judge Judy.
I'm just tired of messing with them. I'm sure they're tired of me. I just soon move on.
I did speak with Kyle several times.
Nothing was ever said about it until the relationship was over.
He did say that he would reimburse me the money once he got his settlement.
I'm sure they want the money, especially since the relationship didn't work out.
Oh, I'm thrilled. Justice has prevailed.
Cold-hearted people.
And I think we need to go back to Jamaica real soon.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Alarid versus Ayala. Step forward, please.
Small business owner David Alarid is suing teacher Sandra Ayala for the cost of a chicken suit he sold to her via eBay. Sandra says the suit was supposed to be brand new, but instead it was old and dirty.
Mr. Alarid, you advertised this chicken costume on eBay.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant purchased it and then somehow paid for it with his PayPal or PenPal, I don't know, something.
ये पक्की गाल है ये जितना जाए को मौका मिल भी ना
अच्छा ये वाला पीछे कंट्री मन से कर लिया
हाँ
मुंह से कर लिया मुंह वाला पीछे मन से
ये सब चीजें आजकल दौर ही वो चल रहा था वो चल रहा था
को डॉक्टर ने एक फरोख आंखों में देखो सामने आसा बांध को मारी घाट
या बिल्कुल सही गाल है
एक बताओ भी पैकेट रहने तो ये गाल पे क्या करेंगे इसके लिए असल पे क्या करेंगे
या बिल्कुल बिल्कुल अच्छा ले ये गाल जेरा बंदा मुंह पे आखे ना गाल वो के लगदी है बंदे को बस ये कई बंदे को समझ ना आती है
फरोख हुआ हमारा यार फरोख ये नहीं फरोख की बात लाने के लिए पहले हाँ नाक गाल करे
नाक तो बंदा आओ नहीं
दो खिची ले मेरी गल याद रखना
पहले बंदे को तरह दुख लगता है ये गलत गाल कर गए लेकिन थोड़ा जा दिमाग ना सोचे ना बंदा उसको पीछे समझ जावे ये बंदा गाल में ठीक कर गए ये चीज समझनी चाहिए ना बंदे को ये लोग आसानी से समझेंगे
तो बर्बाद ही गए लाला तो पीछे बर्बाद ही गए
ये तो पीछे नहीं यहाँ पे वहाँ के बुराइयाँ वाली गाल है सौरी के जा ये जा सख्त ठीक है ये जा ये ठीक है बस आज जय के ने कच्चे टूटा वही ना अल्लाह दे बाद वही चले तू कांड करे ना तू आगड़े दी भाई ताई नहीं है यार ये ताई नहीं है यार
साथ नहीं की या हराम पैदा थे हम लोग गाल को हम
हां
हलाल का टुकड़ कोई
नहीं हां ये हुन मैं तुड़े बैठा पता कहीं मैं हिलाल कमाना पे आराम करना मेरा कहीं पता कहीं बस अच्छा ये दगी पे है उन्हीं को आग ना आई आखी मैं तो हिलाल दा कमाना पे हां किने कमाना पे हिलाल दा पता है
क्या नहीं देना पाजी है हलाल क्या कमाना तो लाख बाबा को जान से हरामी है हलाल ही करना
हां ये पक्की
यार
मैं काली को आज ये शाम ना चले मैं आया
अंदाज वाले गा रहा हूं कि ज्यादा पर सौदा करना है तो रुपया कमा
या बिल्कुल
जी बहन को ना करे तो ओए तेरे उसे थे कि ना करे बॉक्स बटन है बड़ा ईमान है ये हराम वाला पैसा तेरे घर से वो हलाल का तो बदला क्या करे
नाल चाह के बेटी में थी नहीं में पे
आज हो जाएगा
आज ये तीन
दार पे हराम तो बची है ना मैं रुपया रख के तुम्हें इससे भी बता मिलेगी बड़े घर बर्बादी के लिए
सीधो वही होती नहीं दे
वाह ये नहीं सोचा
और तू आप अपनी यूनिवार पे बंदा 10,000 कमाता है
क्या
घंटे के बाद हो गए क्या 10 भी जा 15 गए 5 ब्याह उत्ते गए क्या जो इतना सोचे नहीं जे पिछो मैं इतना कमाना पे हुन मेरे को बंदे आ मैं को देदा मैं कोई नहीं पूछ दे पाए ये इस चीज को नहीं पूछ सकते कोई गाल नहीं मेरे पीछे 100 रुपया जरा लेकिन ना ये हुन विचो बंदा है पेटी दा खेती मुके मैं 5500 लाए मी इयां के 8 ने तले नहीं मिले ना मैं के तू आखिरी याद 6 आग मतन या चा करे देवे जा तू के गरीब खिलाने ढींगे मैं ये चीज को ये नहीं समझे ना
ये बुरा लाना चाहिए हां तो क्या मैं कहता हूं मैं उतार भाई वहीं सब उतार नहीं पाता अपने पाना नहीं
हां आके बैठा रहना है समझो
यार buona cosa non deve fare. Vedi fai. No. O bugia te इज्जत बगे पे यार देने जमाने को चाहे चार जमा का इज्जत करे
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल नहीं है हां बंदा ये
नहीं या तो क्या दे भाजन होए
ला तड़के ना ला गए बंदा ने रोटी से
मैं के बड़ा नहीं आवे मैं और
बंदा ने गाली घाट तो रोटी सामान उंगले बैठा आया खड़ा दाढ़ी न लाया खड़ा वो कुछ मैं आंखें नहीं हूं आंखें यार मैं तो नहीं मेरा ये बंदा भी खा गया गाड़ी पीछे विच पड़ा खड़ा
अगर बलाओ दे मारे को आवा है क्या